What is happening, Dolphins fans? And welcome to another episode of the Fins Tailgate with your host, El Capitan. Today on the tailgate party that never seems to stop, we're going to continue on with our position breakdown series. We've already done running backs, wide receivers, and we're going to continue on now with offensive linemen, most specifically interior guard positions, where we're going to be looking at, camp has begun. Camp battles are important. We're gonna every bit of news, every bit of footage, every bit of eyewitness account we can get together, especially with the program here. We're gonna be looking at these battles all in different position groups, and we got more of these episodes coming out between now and roster cuts. So hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, share this video, and we're gonna get right into it. We're doing offensive linemen today, and last offseason, the Dolphins carried 10 offensive linemen, and there's a couple of people we're going to take right off the list here that, aren't going to be in a camp battle. And if you guys remember, we did our way too early roster projections, kind of like we're doing now with position breakdowns. We did our way too early roster projections back a couple weeks back. Go back and check that episode out to see what we projected back then heading into 53-man roster cuts. But a couple people that we know are definitely making the 53-man roster and is not going to be in the camp battle episodes. Number one, Teron Armstead. He ain't going nowhere. I mean, thought about retirement this year. Dolphins convinced him otherwise, thankfully. Another guy on this list that we'll get to that's Dolphins had to convince out of retirement. And, we seemingly drafted his replacement. We'll get into that later in Patrick Paul. But we could safely say he is making the roster, right? And next guy on this list got paid. Guy Dolphins fans weren't so sure about, Austin Jackson. Got paid last year, and he is, without a doubt, going to be on this 53-man roster. So we don't have to worry about him in the tackle position. And we're going to talk about depth piece at the tackle position when we start naming off some of these guys that we're going to be watching. Next dude, picked him in the second round. Again, I just talked about him being, potentially our future at left tackle one day. And Patrick Paul, the guy is a giant. He's a big man, played well at Houston, and, could potentially end up being a bookend left tackle for us, which can't go wrong with a pick like that. So we'll see how that goes. Next guy on the list, the homie Lamb, which the Dolphins had to convince him to come back like Teron Armstead, because Kendall Lamb, as a depth piece at tackle, he's worth every dime he earns. He's come in, we know Teron Armstead is going to miss games. It's just chalked off. That's why we drafted Patrick Paul. But we don't need to throw Patrick Paul out to the wolves because we got a Kendall Lamb. And I'm not upset with that at all. Another guy that we're going to go ahead and put on this 53 free agent signing, Aaron Brewer. Now, there is some question about depth behind him and what the Dolphins will do, and we'll get into that, with some of these guys. But without a doubt, these first five guys in Teron Armstead, Austin Jackson, rookie Patrick Paul, Kendall Lamb, who is making this team no matter what, and signed free agent Aaron Brewer at center, those five guys are making this roster, are making the 10 of the 53. That leaves 5 projected open spots for these other guys to make. Now, there is the case in which Isaiah Wynn is, as we learned a couple days back, he's put on the active non-football injury list. So because of that, maybe the Dolphins carry him, on a PUP or an IR or something in the season. They try to protect him that way. I don't know. It's a way to sneak 11. You see what I'm saying? But Isaiah Wynn, a guy we're going to talk about who's had injury stuff, which is why he's not in my 1,000,000% guys. The Teron Armstead, Austin Jackson, Patrick Paul, Kendall Lamb, and Aaron Brewer, who they signed. So, who's going to be the other 5? Say the Dolphins do carry only 10. We have 5, certainly. That means there's only 5 more spots left open, and we got a lot of guys. And with losses at both guard positions, pretty much, because Robert Hunt signed a big deal with Carolina, and Isaiah Wynn being on the PUP and also definitely not being an answer, it leaves the door wide open for everybody else to get a chance to have a starting job on the front 5. And there's a lot of guys fighting over it. And fan favorite, number 1 coming up on this list of camp battles to watch, Liam Eichenberg. Liam Eichenberg, is the new Jesse Davis of this football team. He's the new Michael Dieter, which, I remember just a moment ago, everybody was crapping all over Michael Dieter, and now look at him. He's the starting center for C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans over there having success. So for everybody that hates on Liam Eichenberg, let's not hold out all hope for him, because the Dolphins moved up in 2021 in the second round to come up to grab the Notre Dame product. And I mean, we've seen this guy play literally up and down the line, never getting a home. Now that could mean a good thing and a bad thing, right? He played a tackle in college. It was painfully obvious that he didn't have the length or anchor to hold these pass rushers on the outside. Moved inside, had some successes here and there. Center, I thought he did best at center last year, but the Dolphins obviously not agreeing with that by signing Aaron Brewer. And yes, there's an open gap at right guard no matter what. It's a best man's going to get the job at right guard. Left guard's still open as well. Eichenberg's got to make it work. It's a contract year for this guy. He's got to figure it out. He's not going to, get too many other chances. And I got a little bit of figures written down here. The real problem is his PFF grades, his pass blocking grades. They're just not that good. He had 46.7 in 2023. That's up from 2022 where he was 39.8. 2021, he had his best year at 50.8. And but still, these just aren't really good PFF pass blocking grades. And I mean, look, criticism has been rightfully so on Eichenberg because they did move up in the second round to get him, right? If we're looking back 4 years from now, wondering if Patrick Paul is worth anything, we're going to be critical of him as well. So Liam Eichenberg is in a contract year. He got his best year, I thought, was last year playing center in relief for Connor Williams. And this got to be the year he puts it all together, right? And he needs to secure that right guard spot. But there's going to be people coming for it, right? There's other people that have been around here who we've seen in some limited action. First guy coming up on the list, Lester Cotton. Now, Lester Cotton, he's still under a 2-year deal that he signed with the Dolphins. He made the 53-man roster last year. I think this is the second year of his 2-year deal, so it's contract year for him. I think he signed it for $2.1 million or something around there. But he's got competition coming after him in depth at the very minimum, guys. Maybe, probably both Lester Cotton and Eichenberg make the roster, right? Potentially. But where's their depth? What are they, are they landing one of these guard spots? Are they, coming in? I know I've seen Lester Cotton put his hands on somebody who can do stuff. His run blocking he needs to work on, but his pass blocking's been pretty decent for the most part. He's not a real, agile dude out in space, but he's been with the Dolphins a little bit now. Can he put it together and secure one of these guard spots? Or is going to be another guy that's coming up here that I'm interested to see if he can get one of these spots, because I like Robert Jones. I've always liked Robert Jones. I like his length. I like his arm length. I feel like he has a great anchor in pass protection. I think he does a decent enough job, playing his angles and turning the hips of the defender in front of him in the run game. And I think, to me, Robert Jones he's going to push the absolute hardest against Liam Eichenberg of the last year holdovers, because he made the 53 last year. But there is some new guys that the Dolphins added that I got my eye on as well. I really like Robert Hunt. I feel like every time I see him out there blocking, he's got the longest arms out of anyone on the line, it seems like. I can always notice him versus to anyone else playing out there because of how he gets his arms way out and extended and locks up on a guy. He seems to always do decent enough. But there's another guy that the Dolphins brought in here, and this guy's had some on-field success. And although Eichenberg's going to get every opportunity, and Lester Cotton has had, some snaps here and there, and I think he does a good job moving people out of his way, and no one can move him. And Robert Jones seems to be a dude that, again, I like. Newcomer and Jack Driscoll. This guy is looking to fight and take this number one spot at one of these guard positions. And the Dolphins get Jack Driscoll out of, ex-Philadelphia Eagle. He played in some limited rotation snaps over his last couple of years with them. His least amount of snaps coming in last year in 2023 with 172 snaps. In 22, at the guard position, last year he played guard in 2023 at 172 snaps, and then in 2022 played 354 snaps at guard, and in 2021 he played 512 snaps at tackle, and another 300 to add to that snap count in 2020. This is a guy who's seen a lot of action on a good team with Philadelphia, from being the tackle to them going elsewhere, moving him into guard, seeing if that works. Now, less and less production at the guard position compared to his tackle, that he had in 2021. But this guy's had live fire exercise, and he's a vet on a 1-year deal coming in this got to be thinking to himself, I'm in a great opportunity to not only get a starting job, but potentially be a guy that can get a couple-year deal, because I got 2 wide open guard positions. Ain't nobody locked up the left or right guard. Nobody. It is any man's job. And whether or not he can keep it for a short time, a long time, whatever, Jack Driscoll's got to be thinking to himself, I'm in a great position, and I'm gonna get that. And this other guy who was in the position last year didn't really seize the moment, Isaiah Wynn. And now, anyone who watched the games last year, like myself, Isaiah Wynn, who was a second rounder that the Patriots took, had him in at tackle, didn't work out, moved him in at guard, worked out a little bit better, but has been plagued with injuries. Again, he is back on the PUP right now. And this guy, when the Dolphins were playing last year, in the run game especially, it just seemed like, dang, the Dolphins can't be stopped. Isaiah Wynn, Teron Armstead, and Connor Williams, when they were all in there, and Hunt with Jackson, and that was our starting 5, the Dolphins offense seemed all but unstoppable for a lot of the plays. And I like Isaiah Wynn. I would love for him to be the left guard of the future. But the Dolphins wisely are, keeping guys in rotation to fill in. Liam Eichenberg's got to push. Jack Driscoll got to go. I mean, this guy could take that job from Isaiah Wynn. And what would be the worst case scenario, right? Isaiah Wynn's the backup. I'm gonna be all right with that. I'm gonna be okay with that. It's just a 1-year deal with him. So all these dudes that are in here, Jack Driscoll, I don't know if Robert Jones is in the final year of his deal or Lester Cotton, but I mean, Liam Eichenberg, Jack Driscoll, uh, Isaiah Wynn, these guys are all not only fighting for a job on the starting fives, but they're fighting for a job for their future. 1 year deal, need some security, land one of these starting jobs, let the Dolphins, keep you there for a couple years and maybe draft someone next year and that could come up behind you and turn around. You've been with the Dolphins for 3 years and you earned $8 million, right? Like, let's make this happen. Now there is some young bucks coming in that we're gonna have to see what these guys can offer. First guy coming up is Chasen Hines, who Dolphins snagged off the practice squad from the Patriots. Dolphins signed him to a 2-year deal worth just a little over $2 million, almost fully guaranteed. So this guy has a real shot to make the 53-man roster. The Patriots did pick him up in the 6th round last year, but Dolphins were able to snag him. And, they believed in him enough to give him some real guaranteed money. And now whether he'll make a starting position or not, that's up to him. But guys like Lester Cotton that made the team last year, guys like Robert Jones that made the team last year, got to look out. Dolphins have no incentive to keep them over a guy that has guaranteed dollars. So I'll be watching Chasen Hines in the preseason and really, looking to see what the dealio is with him, especially that he's in a guard room. He's projected to be a guard, and in a guard room that has injuries, has questions, new guys that are in there, older dudes that haven't been able to take the job. Dolphins brought in Isaiah Wynn for the left guard position because guys they didn't have an answer at left guard. Eichenberg didn't nail down the job. Neither did Lester Cotton or Robert Jones. So now here we are, a right guard down, and still the same questions as last offseason with the left guard. These guys gotta, somebody gotta step up. Will it be, Chasen Hines? Will it be Jack Driscoll? Will Isaiah Wynn, put together a career? I don't know. Now there is some questions about backup at center. The Aaron Brewer early on in training camp was a little nicked up and stuff. Seems to be all right now, but he is a smaller center, and the Dolphins need to remain flexible at the center and guard position. So that leaves the door open for, some of these other UDFA guys that the Dolphins have brought in, to compete. First up, coming up here out of Ohio. Now, Jones, to me, Matthew Jones from Ohio, if I was going to go center / guard brought in here, he has played some center there, mostly at guard. But if I was going to look for a guy out of all these other dudes, I would imagine a guy that played at Ohio on the upside for the low. Butch Barry could, our O-line coach could really see what he's got there. Kid played a lot of ball for Ohio. So I'll be keeping an eye on Matthew Jones as far as depth, as far as competing, because, again, we only had 5 more spots. And say Dolphins probably keep Eichenberg, right? Probably, we'll say Robert Jones, Isaiah Wynn, there's 3. We'll say Jack Driscoll makes it. I mean, that still leaves us with some open spots, on a 10-man roster. And some of these guys will clear and make practice squad. And Dolphins got to ask themselves, does the Ohio State, offensive lineman with a lot of snaps, is that a guy they want to, see can clear waivers? That's what I think about with guys like Jack Driscoll as well. If he doesn't, if another team goes down and they're light in the position at guard or even tackle, he's played tackle, or just need a flexible guy, Jack Driscoll probably won't clear the 53, or clear waivers to make practice squad. So Dolphins got to consider that as well. Next guy coming up that the Dolphins need to look at is a true center for Rutgers. Played center pretty much the whole dang time he was there. Hold on a second. He did play some guard as well. Yeah. We're going to look and see if Ireland Brown, a guy that they brought in to the mini camp, the rookie mini camp, and they ended up signing him. They liked what he could do. Probably going to end up a practice squad guy, but again, to me right now, if Aaron Brewer, the free agent, isn't playing for any reason, it's Eichenberg that's going to come in at center, right? That's how I think the Dolphins view Eichenberg as a really good backup center, which helps him land that roster, one of those 5 roster spots, and he will. But Dolphins might look to, at least at the very minimum, put Ireland Brown on that practice squad. And who knows? Maybe he can show up and show out if Brewer isn't playing and, Eichenberg isn't taking snaps at center in the preseason. Maybe it's Ireland Brown that's doing all that. There's another guy who's going to be, trying to get his little bit of it. And this is the kid from UTEP, Andrew Mayer. I mean, dude, guy's a freaking monster. Look at him. The picture says everything, right? I know we have a quarterback from UTEP taking some snaps from him. I'm pretty sure they brought that in for that. But another guy picked up at the rookie mini camp. They're probably going to test him out and see what both those guys, Ireland and Meyer, their positional flexibility to see what they could do if they were played at guard or how they could go. That's how this stuff works. And final guy to come up trying to get some tackle love is Ryan Hayes. Dolphins drafted this guy last year in the 7th round. He didn't make the 53, but was put back on the practice squad. I mean, look, Ryan Hayes, we did see a little bit of action of him in the preseason. I want to say he got in at some point on some special teams stuff last year. Don't quote me on that. But Dolphins saw enough with their limited picks last year to take him in the 7th round. Tackle, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. What can they do at Ryan Hayes? Maybe he does have a little step over, the other guys like Ireland Brown or the Ohio product kid. Maybe he'll have a step over at least to the coaching ability of Butch Berry, who is notoriously known as a tough coach, right? Maybe Ryan Hayes can stay out in front of those guys, and if Isaiah Wynn ends up on the PUP, he could solidify himself in that 53-man roster this year, which will be something we're looking for, right? To me, the real battle over the interior guards on both sides comes down to the health of Isaiah Wynn. It comes down to Jack Driscoll, who I think stands a real good shot. Obviously, Liam Eichenberg, he's getting every opportunity, and he has the most snaps on the offensive line for the Miami Dolphins up and down that bad boy than any of these other guys. That includes holdovers of Robert Jones and Lester Cotton, which, again, I don't know. What have these guys done this offseason? How much of this playbook do they know that's going to set an edge against guys like Jack Driscoll? What could they do in the preseason? What could they do in practice to see who's going to get these guard spots and what's the depth going to look like? And depending on the depth, say a guy like Lester Cotton and their concerns about center, does that boost up a guy like the Ohio product kid? So interesting things, names. We know these guys. We're going to have to really look hard at the guard positions to see what it shakes out, because there's only 5 spots left. I think Eichenberg, again, one of either Lester Cotton and Robert Jones takes up one of those spots. I think the 3rd spot goes to Isaiah Wynn. And then pretty much that's left over is the 4th and the 5th spot between Ryan Hayes, Jack Driscoll, Lester Cotton, what's his name? The guy from LSU, I dropped his name. Chasten Hines, and Ireland Brown, and all these other kids from UTEP. Which of the guys that are going to come up and solidify themselves as being one of those 10 for the final 2 spots? Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Do the Dolphins keep 10? What are the final 5 guys? Who makes starting guard? let me know what you guys think. I want to know if you know, are the Dolphins in a good spot? Do they need to go outside the building to add some talent? I don't know. Let me know in the comment section. Hit the like button, share this video, and keep a lookout for more of these episodes coming out. We've got, I think, tight ends coming up next. Maybe D-line. I don't know. It'll all depend on how this gets released. But again, hit the like button, subscribe.